Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Mystic Sense series on psychic protection. Today with us is Cookie from Mystic Sense.
Hey, everybody. My name is Cookie. I am a psychic on Mystic Sense based outside of Dallas, Texas. I've been on my spiritual journey for a little over 7 years now, and I found my way here at Mystic Sense, and I've been so happy to cross paths with some amazing people and just get to know people and help people all around the world. It's really helped me branch out a little bit. So I'm happy to be here, and we're going to talk about spiritual protection, psychic protection, and just being in alignment.
Thank you, Cookie. Would you like to share a little bit about your spiritual background and how you came to Mystic Sense?
Yes, so I practice hoodoo. We use a lot of herbs and do lots of root work, and baths, cleanses, things like that. I came across Mystic Sense from another reader, and nobody that I know personally, but I heard her talking about it on YouTube, and so I checked it out. You know what I mean? Looked into it, did my research, and it just seemed like it would be in alignment with what I wanted to do. I do have like a separate business to where I do, people can reach out to me for tarot readings, but this allowed me to kind of further my reach. And me and the interviewer, we really clicked. I love when I have interviews and it doesn't feel like they're grilling you, like you're just having a conversation. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I found Mystic Sense, and I started as soon as I got put on, like literally the same day, and I've been on ever since.
Thank you for sharing that. It's fantastic. So let's dive into our topic on spiritual protection with our first question.
Okay.
Why are energetic boundaries crucial for psychic protection, and how can individuals strengthen them?
I I'm always preaching about spiritual hygiene. I feel like I try to make it make sense for people in a way, like we take showers or else you're going to stink. You're going to have an odor. That applies spiritually as well. You have to do your cleanses. We come across so many energies throughout the day, even on our phones. We always have our phones. That's one of the biggest ways to pick up on energies. So you have to have those boundaries as far as what you're seeing, what you're hearing, the things that you put in your body, the people that you talk to, all of that. I'm always telling like people that come to me, talk to yourself nice. It's all about your self-worth, what you're going to put up with, the things that you deal with. And the hard truth is a lot of that is a reflection of you and where you can be like mentally. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it, but it's about just kind of like being aware and asking yourself those hard questions sometimes. Why didn't I do this? Why was this difficult for me? Or why did I pick up the phone if I didn't want to talk to them? Why I'm not a dumping ground, for somebody else's energy. So it's about not allowing it. And that's the practical sense of it. Putting your phone on D&D, that's a boundary, that's spiritual protection. You know what I mean? It doesn't always have to be like some super extravagant way, but those are nice, right? But sometimes it's just very simple. A no is spiritual protection. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing. No is very powerful. If we all said no when we really didn't want to do something, it would be, or I feel like our lives would be a lot different.
For sure.
Um,
For sure.
yeah. So
I
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I used to say yes a lot, and when I said no the first time, it was just hard for me to even press send on the text message. I remember, and when I did, I called my sister. I'm like, I did it. I told him no, and we're just gonna wait and see what happens. And they just said okay, and they moved on. You know what I mean? And I was just kind of like, wow. So after that, it was very, very easy for me to kind of say no and put up those boundaries and release like anxiety and things like that. But for sure, that
Yeah,
was.
very, very important. Um, so our next question is, what are some practical visualization exercises and aura cleansing techniques for strengthening energetic boundaries?
Okay, so a very simple way to cleanse and strengthen your energetic boundaries is to go out in nature, do a lot of grounding, put your feet on the ground in the grass, look at nature. You can cleanse all of your senses. The basic senses, as far as what you're looking at, what you're touching. But the earth, we have a connection to this earth. It's a equal give and take type of situation. Simply put, plants are exhaling oxygen and we are exhaling carbon. It's like an even exchange, and that's across the board. You can look at it in any way. So when we have like I know we talk about our auric fields and our energetic fields. It's kind of like a circle, and there's like rings around us that we can't see, right? But that circle is like convection energy and recycling. And so when you are able to actually touch the ground, you are releasing what no longer serves you. Like that negativity, the ground can take that. The earth is there to help you. And so that's really simple. When you're having a bad day, I even do this with my son, my nephew. When it comes to kids and tantrums or just kind of having a rough day, take them outside. You might need to get some fresh air. You know what I mean? Let's go in the sun. And it's just kind of like it just goes away. It's like it's a fresh restart. So that's one way. Um, Standing outside barefoot, imagining a white light. I used to do that a lot, and it comes easy now, but imagine that light coming in from your feet, going through your head, and you know what I mean? Just kind of going through your body to kind of have that open pathway. Because a lot of the times when we're stressed out or down, we become very tense and closed off, and we hold on to a lot of stuff that no longer serves us. Um, and it's just kind of like, when you harp on something, or why didn't I do this? Or I should have said it this way. Or you replaying an argument over and over in your head. You're holding on to something that's kind of hurting you in a way, like holding a hot coal. You're going to feel better once you release it and let go. So doing that is like through nature, visualization through white lights. I'm sure we'll get into it like with crystals and certain things that you can carry. But yeah, that's a really simple way to do that.
Thank you for sharing that. Definitely very refreshing. Even if you're not sure what you're doing, just go walk your dog at the park
Yeah.
or whatever. You're out there, and it does make you feel better, even if you don't do the visualization, but the visualization definitely helps.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, how do strong energetic boundaries contribute to overall well-being and clarity?
You said, so how do strong, repeat it one more time.
Okay, how do strong energetic boundaries contribute to overall well-being and clarity?
Strong energetic boundaries will help you maintain your stability. Once you find that sweet spot, nobody can come in and mess with that. Nobody can take from you. So it's just kind of like knowing, I say this is like Queen of Swords energy or King of Swords energy. They're really quick to let you know exactly what it is and what it's going to be. You know what I mean? And if you're not with it, it's either you can leave, and there's no hard feelings about that. But having those type of boundaries will help you maintain that stability. It's like climbing a mountain, and when you finally get there, what are we doing? Like, of course we want to, obviously I'm not saying don't help anybody, but there I am so big on the even exchange. If you go back down to get someone and they're pulling you down, you're going to realize you're not even where you were, and you have to rebuild. Nobody's, honestly, the hard truth, a lot of people that you thought would probably be there to help you won't be there. This is a solo journey, so you would have to reclimb that mountain and get back up there. And I bet next time around, because you've learned from your mistakes or these lessons in life, that you'll think twice about who you are reaching back for, or who you're allowing in your energy. So yeah, and I say this, it is easier said than done, but it's about slowing down. If you actually think about how something is making you feel, or anything like that, you don't have to rush. Nobody, you know what I mean? It's about slowing down, kind of breaking away from these anxious feelings. We live in a world of instant gratification. Everything has to be right now, immediately. It's all about convenience. And we all know divine timing does not work that way. Like, so slowing down and truly thinking about your feelings in certain situations will help you have those strong boundaries and maintain that stability. Hope I'm answering your questions, Phoenix. Like, I'm all over the place because I want to give examples.
No, that's good though. It's good. All the examples are great. when you were talking about that climbing that mountain and that divine timing often isn't where what we think in our heads, it reminded me of a quote from Lao Tzu
Mm,
that said, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." From Lao
yep,
Tzu.
yep,
Yeah, I have that on my wall to kind of remind me, like we're so wired to hurry because society is like go go go. We have to be busy all the time. You don't have to be busy all the time. Um, and I also want to touch point on what you said about, reaching back to help other people. Think about, what do I owe this person?
yes.
What
Hmm.
do I owe them to make me put myself in a tough situation for them? Sometimes you do owe people something,
Yeah,
and that's okay because you're giving back that energy. But a lot of times you don't owe them a thing.
yep. That's
Yeah.
very true. And that ties into inner child work. It did for me for sure, because I feel like having a big heart, people will notice that and they'll take, take, take. But when push comes to shove, where are they? And so you just kind of realize, have to do some deep digging. And I did a lot of reading and looking into that type of stuff. Also, therapy, along with having a spiritualist or somebody. There's all types of things that you can do with spirituality. Do you know what I mean? In conjunction with it to truly help yourself excel and reach your goals. But one of them was like a lot of like books I was reading. And it's sometimes we look to people, like people please out of we want to be accepted. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So that shadow work that plays into it, because it's a lot deeper. There are things that we hold on to from childhood in our adulthood, and it affects us for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The shadow work is a big part of that, as well. And just next time you go to say yes, again, that word no is very powerful. Think, do I owe this person something?
Hmm.
What do I owe them? And do they owe me something? Have they taken things from me before? Um, and have the self-esteem to realize that you don't have to give when you don't want to. You are not obligated to give anything to anyone, unless, of course, it's an agreement. It's a mutual, balanced, fair agreement. But that's not often the case.
Yeah, one thing my mentor, she told me, and it really stuck with me. Um, a closed mouth is the best protection sometimes, also. A lot of times, people would like to do, like, have you heard of a monitoring spirit? Some people want to keep tabs on you to kind of see what you're up to, what you've been doing, but they're not really genuine. Do you know what I mean? And so you could be talking, you're talking a million miles a minute. I got this going on. I just had this interview. I'm doing this. And the whole time they're not really rooting for you or have your best interests at heart. So sometimes it's about taking those wins in private or keeping your circle small, which is a part of having strong boundaries. But yeah, closed mouth, a no, that's going to get you really far.
Yeah, wonderful. There's one more thing I want to mention on this topic before we move on to our
Yeah.
next question. With social media that we talked about, you mentioned social media and your phone. One thing that I have tried is, I found that I was always reaching out to people like, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing?" If I step back and I stop making the first contact, I don't initiate any contact, how many people that you consider friends are going to reach out to you first, right?
Yep. Yep. You said something there.
You just step back, stop saying hi to people, stop messaging first, don't initiate anything. If they initiate it, great. Take a note of that person because that person actually cares about you.
Mhm.
But when I did this, it was like hardly anyone, and it was really sad.
Mhm. And it's that's where you restart. And when I tell you my phone, like during like going through these dark periods, sometimes my phone was so dry. Like, and I was just forced to be with myself. Do you know what I mean? And forced to go out in nature. Like, I don't have anything else to do. Might as well take a walk. Like, but it made me be more selective with who I allow to be in my energy once I reached that level of like peacefulness. Because at first it was lonely, you know what I mean? But then after a while, you realize those people around me, like I didn't feel good after I got off the phone with them anyway. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, social media, it'll have you thinking that you have friends that you don't really have. And that's a slippery slope for sure. We could really talk about that.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, definitely. I do recommend as an exercise for cleansing your social circles, definitely try that. You know,
Mhm.
you'll find that those few people that actually reach out first, those are your people you want to keep around you because they really,
Yep,
really care.
yep.
Hmm. Okay, wonderful. So, what are the properties of protective crystals like black tourmaline and amethyst for protection?
Okay, so I put a couple of crystals in my bag. Amethyst, I'm really big on like color therapy, and I like to like research the chakras and look into them. We all know amethyst is purple, and this is really good, for your crown, your third eye. Yeah. So yeah, that crown chakra, and it's about opening your mind sometimes to see things from other perspectives, something that you couldn't have thought about before, or to receive messages during a sleep state when you're dreaming. You can put this under your pillow. Um, I keep it in my purse. Just sometimes if I'm like at home or if I'm doing readings, even on Mysticsense, I'll be holding like the crystals so I'm able to receive messages clearly to keep my third eye open and my mind open, to kind of convey the message the best way possible. But this one is really good for keeping a sound mind. That's what I say. Let's see what else we have here. I don't have my tourmaline, but it is black, and that's for like repelling negativity. That's the main thing with the color black. So I know I'll give you an example. I had a situation where I knew I was going to be somewhere, and there was somebody that I had conflict with. Obviously, I don't want to have any issues in any place or anything at all. So I had my black tourmaline with me, and just to keep my stability. Because the biggest thing, also, this is random. The biggest thing, you can't really change everybody else around you, but you can fix yourself. Like you can change how you respond to things. Um, everything is you can always count on things to always like change. There's always going to be a constant change, but focus on yourself and how you respond to it. So doing things like carrying the black tourmaline, crystals that repel negativity and block those dark lower energies for sure. So keeping that at your desk at work. Oh my gosh, look at you! You go pull it out.
Uh,
Yes, you have it. Yep.
this
Uh,
one's kyanite. This is not tourmaline, it's
oh,
kyanite.
okay.
But
Yeah.
it's black. This is very protective as well. And I keep this on my little desk. Is that hematite?
Yes, yes, it is. I had this one for black. Yep.
And then I have this one.
Is that obsidian?
It's supposed to be.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
it's either not a good quality obsidian or it's something else. But I use this as my protective amulet when I am doing readings on Mystic Sense.
Mm-hmm.
You just put it on. If you don't want to do the visualization or anything, just have one of these charged and ready to go, and then put it on when you leave the house, and
Mm-hmm.
that will protect you.
Yeah, so definitely with the black crystals, that's what those are good for. What else do I have here? Opalite. This is the tiny, I mean, this crystal I've had for years and I lose it months at a time and then I'll randomly find it. It's opalite. This is good for when you have like seasonal blues or like you're feeling kind of sad. It really helps to kind of uplift your mood. I really like this opalite and I think it's beautiful. It's like translucent, but has like you know what I mean? I really like this. It's like my favorite crystal in the whole world. But yeah, what else did I bring? Citrine. That is, it's like an orangish yellowish color here. This one is good. These two, I don't know. I've had dreams with these crystals here. Imagine these are like mountains and you're climbing that mountain that I was talking about. I always like visualize myself sometimes laying on a mountain, like a rose quartz mountain. Like if I really need to flood my energy with some positive light or some positivity or truly like feel that love, I imagine like a mini cookie sitting right on top of this crystal, just hanging here for a second, like hanging out. But this is a really good visualization tool. But yeah, that's my crystals.
Yay, crystals! Thank you for sharing. So how can individuals effectively use crystals to shield against negative energies?
Okay. What I do, I'll get on my yoga mat, and you can do this, at a park if you have a backyard, but I'll put my yoga mat out and I like intentionally will lay down in the sun and get my crystals, and we'll put them where they align. Like I'll have the amethyst here and I'll lay down and I'm sitting there. Or if you want to just work with one, I've done citrine and just put it on my stomach. Your gut, they say, is like this at the center for your emotions, right? So you can kind of work with science and spirituality. So I would put it there and just kind of hold it, and you can say the affirmations that will go with the chakra, the color. So if you're doing your solar plexus or that area, this is all about affirming, yourself and your beliefs, or I am capable, or I am. So doing that, being out in the sun on top of that, it's like a triple threat. You know what I mean? You're going to feel a lot better. But that's one way, is being outside, laying out and putting your crystals actually on your bodies. You're recharging yourself. You're removing that energy because you're on the ground. This is one way without water, obviously. There are other ways. There are some crystals that are safe in water that you can put in water. So you can have them in your baths. Or if you collect moon water, things from storms, put the crystals in the water in a spray bottle with some essential oils, and you can spray that on you and have a personal body spray, and it's been charged by the crystals. So there are ways that you can do this, and because I know a lot of people have issues at work. You can do this and like spray the water on your chair at work, or mist around and that type of stuff. And the people that probably have been annoying you won't stop by your desk. You know what I mean? Like it's things like that. And you could use the tourmaline, the hematite, onyx, obsidian, those black ones to kind of repel that rah negativity. But if those are finding crystals that are safe for water and making sprays or floor washes, things like that, you can do a lot with them.
Thank you for sharing. A few crystals that are very protective that you can use in water are smoky
Okay.
quartz family. Also, shungite is water safe. I think obsidian is because it's a glass, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I always have to research because sometimes I'm just like, I'm gonna put them in the dirt. You know what I mean? I know that's good.
Yeah, a lot of crystals are not water safe, so do
Mhm.
definitely be careful. But I know for sure smoky quartz is, and shungite is, and I believe obsidian is as well. Those three, but definitely look it up and research before you put it in the water, because a lot of them aren't.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you. That I love that with the spray bottle and the essential oils. You can get,
Yeah.
if you're into herbs, there's lots of protective herbs. You can get
Mhm.
really into it.
Yep, I really love lavender. My go-to, I started with lavender, chamomile, and rose because I felt like I was always so anxious. You know what I mean? And the aromatherapy was like a gateway to learning about a lot of herbs because that's just kind of what I knew. Like, oh, this smells good. Oh, I don't know, and I didn't really know like outside of what mainstream marketing, what they tell you. So when you go deeper into these herbs, the history, where they're grown, all of that, the stories that come with these herbs. Sometimes there's certain spirits, you know what I mean, that are attached to it. It's people talk about how sacred tobacco once was before like everybody got a hold of like cigarettes and nicotine, and how it was used in ceremonies and things like that. So that there, and the cacao ceremonies, there are certain plants and herbs, you know what I mean, that have spirits attached to them. So learning about that, and yeah, that's really, we could talk about that with protection also.
For sure. Okay, excellent. So can you provide examples of how different crystals work and when to use them for protection?
Ooh, okay. I'll start with, let's see. We'll talk about hematite. I'm thinking of what else I can talk about, when to use them. Okay, so we'll do hematite and rose quartz. I did a lot of work with rose quartz when it came, because we all know roses and love, but with rose quartz, I did a lot of work with this for self-love. Like not necessarily like I don't know, attracting a partner, but my self-love was attached to protection because of self-love goes with self-worth. Let's put it like that. Do you know what I mean? Like if you value yourself at a certain level or you value your time, you're not just gonna, it's like gold. You're not gonna give it to anybody. With those hard questions that we were talking about, like, why am I doing this if I didn't want to do it? Or why did I allow XYZ? I had to go back and do affirmations for myself. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of a self-love affirmation. I don't know, we'll start. I am beautiful. I am intelligent. It's like just talking to yourself in a nice way. Do you know what I mean? And then how you spend your time. I'm really big on self-care and pouring into yourself and your body. And it's gonna look different for everybody, but give yourself that extra 10 minutes. And I have rose quartz around candles. So doing little rituals every day kind of helps build up that self-love, and it helped me with my boundaries and keeping things out that were not good for me. It's an eye-opener working with rose quartz. So having it around candles, if you're taking baths, I would line them up, you know what I mean, kind of around the tub. Some people have, if they do like altars, you can do the pretty also selenite. You can get like rose quartz towers or selenite towers, and just kind of have those and create an ambiance. Have them in the front of your house is good for protection. That's the entrance of the home. So you want to have things right there. What else am I thinking? Repeat the question for me. I want to make sure I answer all of it.
Can you provide examples of how different crystals work and
Yeah.
when to use them for protection?
I would do selenite in the front of your house for sure. Rose quartz in the bathroom. Let's see. What's the green? I had a green crystal and I left it.
Adventuring.
Yes, yes, oh my gosh, did you just read my mind? Yes. That's one I would do that. Kitchen is like my money maker. You can do lots of like kitchen witch things and I'll have aventurine green candles in my kitchen. Every part of your house has like its own like ruling, area. As far as the living room, a family center, I would do red candles at the dining table. That's for love. It's important. For me, I have a child. We try to do the family to kind of incorporate those things. And I would light the candles and have crystals around. But yeah, that's kind of, I use crystals and candles in conjunction with each other. But everything is different in every room. That's kind of how I work with it.
Yeah, lots of great tips that people can apply. I do know that rose quartz is water safe if you do want to put it in your bath.
Hmm.
Selenite is not.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it
Yep.
just, and I have a big rose quartz next to my bathtub too, because I like to do a lot of ritual baths.
Yes. Same.
That's
Hmm.
another way that you can use the crystals to do what you need to do, like protection. You can put, the smoky quartz in your bathtub. You can put the rose quartz around it. Light the candles and all of that. Um, there's a lot of different things you can do, and be creative. You don't want to just follow one template because this is endless. There's endless possibilities. Do what's right for you. Not everybody resonates with crystals. Not everyone resonates with candles. You can just mix and match and find out what is right for you and your practice.
Yeah. One thing that I do with this hematite, I like it like this because I can hold it in my hands. Do you know what I mean? And I'll just like rub and talk. Hematite, we know if we break the word down, hema is like blood. And so that's kind of like the first part of the word. But this when I'm talking to my ancestors, they're part of my bloodline. So I use this kind of like a calling card sometimes to have that gateway to get, how do I explain this? Like if I mean like older ancestors, people that I probably don't even know their names. You know what I mean? That type of thing. If I'm just trying to call on the elevated ancestors in my bloodline, I'm using my hematite, and I use this as like a channel, a way to get to where I'm trying to go as far as like when it comes to like astral travel or anything where I'm using my psychic abilities, because they are my lifeline to figuring and to talking and helping other people. I always keep this, and I just kind of like will close my eyes and talk, and I will go to where I have to go to get the answers that I need. And this is my form of protection. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I want to elaborate a bit on that too. Ancestors are a very powerful form of protection as well. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we can. So, and we can even, okay, when I first started, I have a grandmother. She's like my best friend. I mean, I would call her when I was in college. I would be calling her in between classes. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what are you doing? Because we were always hanging out. Um, so whenever she passed, Phoenix, I was so freaked out. Like, I really wasn't into spirituality like that. And you know about Chihuahuas. You know, she's the one that had like 2, 3 chihuahuas. And so whenever she passed, the dogs were looking for her, and things were like strange things were happening in the house. I was hearing like feet shuffling, I mean, light bulbs bursting. And it had me really freaked out. Like, but I was like, I know I'm not crazy, because the dogs would be like, what was that? Like, we're all like perked up trying to figure things out. And so fast forward, shoot, about 4 or 5 years later, I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna light a candle for her, a plain white candle, and then a glass of water is what my mentor at the time told me to do. And I didn't have any elaborate pictures of my ancestors, but they're in me. You know what I mean? So I called their names, like her name was Mary, or I would write it down, and she was like the beginning one. That's the first ancestor that I started with, because that's what I felt comfortable with. And just like she was here for me, when she was here, as far as being my protector, helping me, somebody that I could talk to, that still applied, when she did transition. So she is like my go-to person that opened the door to all of these people that I probably never met here in this third dimension or in this world. She made, like a bouncer at a club is like, you're not on the list. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get in. It was just, my grandmother was that for me when it came to spiritual energies. And when it comes to your altars, you feed your ancestors and give them that energy. So I started doing flowers. Oh, I remember she liked this type of chocolate, so I'm going to buy her this. Or we used to eat ginger snaps together. So I would buy the ginger snaps that we buy and put them on the altar. And it's just kind of like this give and take. That's what my ancestral altar is about, because I know you're helping me. I'm gonna make sure that you're good, and we're gonna do this together. We're gonna go help people. So now, if you look at my altar now, I've got all of these people. I found ancestors. I broke down my ancestry, like did my actual DNA, and was able to like get in contact with a lot of people, and they started finding me also, which was kind of like unbelievable sometimes, because it's like, I know I went to my grandma's house on my dad's side, and I was like, I don't know, you know how you get that feeling when somebody's watching you, like somebody staring a hole in your face. So I looked and I'm like, what is it? But it was a picture. Do you know what I mean? It was an old black and white picture. And I'm like, who's that man? I asked my grandma. She's like, oh, that's just my dad. And my grandma, she was like 99. You know what I mean? So this was a super old picture. And I was like, I can literally hear him talking to me. I could feel him staring a hole in my face. But it's just like, I didn't know his name. I didn't know anything about him. But it's just kind of like, he was like, hey, hey, like, and they'll be patient with you. Um, but it's about really just being open to that and calling on your elevated ancestors. They're amazing guides. And when you want to get into like working with deities and things like that, they will help you get to that. It's like somebody putting in a good word, in a sense, when it comes to hoodoo, because we can talk about like orishas and things like that. And some people do like to jump the gun sometimes and just go straight into working with orishas, but there is like tiers, and there are levels to it. And I'm like, my ancestors, they've been working hard. Like, we've been putting in some work, and I've gotten pretty far when it comes to like my psychic abilities and receiving messages and downloads. It's like having somebody right here on your shoulder. It's like, and actually, so I love it, and I know that they're not going to put me in any danger. Do you know what I mean? Like, we protect each other. We're here for each other, and it's all love.
Yeah, that's excellent. Sorry, excuse me. Um, So yeah, no, that's excellent because your ancestors are part of you. You are literally carrying the torch forward of them and their legacy. So they want to help you. And that's another whole dimension of protection that you can add to your spiritual practice because they want to help you. They want to protect you. They're on the other side. They know what's going on. They know the energies. And so developing a practice with your ancestors. And you do want to be specific that you're asking, again, elevated ancestors or beloved ancestors of, because not everyone's a good person, and we all have we all have some people in our bloodline.
Right. We got some shakers and movers in my family for sure. Like, I don't need your help. Wait a minute.
Yeah, everybody has someone in their family that's not the best person. So you want to be careful. That again, putting in that word elevated ancestors or whatever your word is for, positive energy, put that in and, work with them, get to know them, develop those relationships you weren't able to develop before. Even if they passed before you met them, or you never talked about certain things, you can start now. And that is always an option open for you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you don't need any of the fancy tools right away. Like I was saying, a white candle and a glass of water was all I had, and I knew her name, and I started with that. And it's just like they're waiting for you. They're like, oh my God, like you know what I mean? They're super excited to help, and they want to help you. Your ancestors, the universe, they're all conspiring for your greater good. Once you realize that, a lot of people can, tend to stand in their own way. Like they say, you are your worst enemy or your worst critic or something like that. That's what it is. When you kind of get out of the way and let the universe steer the wheel and let your ancestors help you, man, the sky is the limit.
For sure. I want to say that water is very important too.
Yeah.
Whenever you're doing ancestor work, always have a glass of water around. And that's because the spirit realm absorbs water and you don't want them taking it from you. I've heard of people doing mediumship and they get super dehydrated. They're thirsty all the time. They don't know why because they
Oh,
forgot.
you're so right. And and this is a crazy story. So I attend births, and I had a very long birth, and it was crazy. This was a at-home birth, and she had her baby on the floor. And when the baby was born, he wasn't breathing. You know what I mean? And so I was like, and I don't really, and this is the thing also, I don't just openly invite, oh, I'm a psychic, I can do, like, I'm still, you probably see me in Target and probably wouldn't think twice unless you're looking at my tattoos or if you know me, you know what I mean? And so I'm like holding her hand and I'm talking to her. And the baby eventually he starts breathing, but the midwives had to work on him. But it was kind of like I closed my eyes and I called his name and I was just kind of like praying and speaking positivity. But even that was, I had a quiet ride home, like no music. I just was so tired and drained. But when I got home, I keep my grapefruits for my grandmother and my ancestors because that was her thing. But when I got home, something was like, you need to eat the grapefruit. And I mean, I tore it up. Like I literally ate the whole thing. It didn't taste bad. And I was dehydrated. Like you said, I was so dehydrated. I was eating the grapefruits. I had pineapple, the water. Like I was just kind of like, man. So that's when I realized I was just at the beginning of doing birth work. I was just kind of under the impression that this is going to be this sector, and then I'll do this. But when I say it's all aligned, you're giving birth, you're helping souls cross over to this. You know what I mean? They're coming here, and so that was an eye opener to me, where I was like, I started bringing my crystals to the births. Like I had to like have my amethyst or my lavender spray, and the mothers like they like it anyway. But it's just kind of like we're protecting me, I'm protecting you, we're protecting this space because that was like unbelievable. It was like I don't even like grapefruit. That's something my ancestors like, and I had to eat it. Like I was literally like, but yeah, for sure.
That's so interesting. I love that. I love the realization that bringing life into this
Mhm.
realm is a lot similar to watching it leave, and it's crossing that boundary, that plane. There's a lot of power in that. Anytime there's a crossroads like that.
Yeah. And to actually like visually see that, do you know what I mean? And just see somebody taking their first breath, or they're probably the first person that you look at in this world. It's just kind of like doing birth work is super fulfilling. And then being able to have that understanding of this is a new soul. Do you know what I mean? And they're here, this beautiful innocence, and helping families to do that. And even some of the mothers, they want readings from me, like, or we'll work on birth charts. So in certain aspects, I do tie it in with certain mothers that come to me, not all of them, but it's just, yeah, I had to keep my crystals on me and had to be mindful of all of that stuff in that space, even in hospitals and things. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our next question then. How can listeners surround themselves with white light for protection?
Well, I would say through that visualization, having your hands open to receive. You want to sit down Indian style cross-legged. Imagine the light coming down through your hands. If you're standing, imagine it coming up through your feet. Another form, let's see, for white light protection. Let's see. Really outside of that, imagining the light, working with the sun, being in the sun. Um, Would it be weird for me to talk about sweating and how that's important in like release? Because you know the sun makes you sweat and it releases so much. And you know how you feel kind of after you have that, I don't know, if you had a walk and you're sweating. I know I felt like a weight had been lifted off of my shoulders sometime. Like, and after you sweat, what do? You go rinse off and you get in the water. It's like a cleanse. So honestly, I would say working with that white light, actually being in the sun to recharge yourself. Yeah, that's pretty much what I would do there.
We have plenty of time if you want to talk about the sweating, because I don't know much about that, honestly.
Yeah, okay, so that helped me. Like, I used to have you ever been, your hopes, you have high standards for people, you expect them to kind of treat you the way that you treat them, but people aren't really like that. You end up disappointed a lot. And I kind of went through that. And my mentor be like, she's so, I mean, she's so profound, and then she'll give you the most simple answer sometimes. It's like, but you know all of this stuff, but she's like, you need to work out. You need to go sweat. And I'm just kind of like, I did not like sweating back in the day. I was just one of those really girly girls, like sweat. What? I'm gonna sit down. But when I actually stopped caring about I was gonna look like, or you know what I mean, something silly like that. I did this a lot last summer. A lot of walking next to trees or through woods and hiking. And I'm in Texas, so it's super hot. But when I would sweat, and it was just like this release, because when you're relieving, it's like toxins, you know, coming out of your pores. But that is the same spiritually. Like when you're sweating, you're gonna have a elevated breathing. It's like this constant. You don't have a choice but to release things when you're sweating or when you're moving your body. Even if you don't break a full on sweat, if you're moving your body or doing certain stretches, people do like qigong, things like that. That movement really helps to release a lot of pent up energy. And I know for women, we hold a lot of energy in our hips. Do you know what I mean? So even if you're not walking, sometimes I need to dance for a second. Like I need a minute so I can like do a little shimmy, and it's releasing that energy. So moving your hips, going a little circles, if you want to work your back, just like even that, it feels good. And one other thing that I do that I really got involved in was skating. And could you imagine somebody skating without smiling? Like it would be really hard to get on a skating rink with a straight face. So it was just me kind of forcing myself, I would say, into like this happiness that was always there. Like you can't, there's certain things that they're just gonna do what they do. The sun is always going to heal you. Water will always cleanse you. The air will always, you know, help you feel lighter. Those types of things. The dirt will always ground you. So no matter how many times you fall or how many times you have to start over, the recipe is always the same. I was just saying this to somebody: 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. The fact that you know that, you can never really lose. But when you keep doing this, and if you have to start over, start over.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We had a brief technical issue, so we are going to catch up right where we left off. So, Cookie, what are some visualization practices and affirmations for invoking divine protection?
Okay. So for invoking divine protection, you can say I am surrounded by the purest light, or I'm surrounded by the whitest light, however you want to put that. That's an easy one to say. Um, let's see. I only attract positivity. That's another one, another affirmation that you can use. Um, One thing that I say is, I only attract what serves me well. Do you know what I mean? That's something that I'm really big on, like the give and take. Like it has to be an equal. I'm a Leo. I guess I should tell you that. Like people, they say we're like high maintenance and all of this stuff, but one thing, we have big hearts, and so when we do love people, we genuinely do love them. But it's about having that reciprocation there. So it's like, I only attract things that serve me well is one that I use. Let's see, another affirmation for divine protection. This one is, with hoodoo, some people in hoodoo will use, do you know what bibliomancy is? Like
Mhm.
using books. You can use all types of books, but in hoodoo, I know some people will use the Bible because it's still a historical book, but you can use any text. But there are certain scriptures that will talk about divine protection or like faith and things like that. Just if you just imagine it, sometimes it's just being a book of stories. Do you know what I mean? These people sometimes had, what did David have? He had a pocket full of stones. Okay, like he had some crystals. Do you know what I mean? The David and Goliath story. But one thing that I usually say for protection is about, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because you could say the universe is with you or something like that, something along those lines. But that's about invoking your protection, that some of your ancestors, who knows, because we are all so different. Some of them might have been like, practice different religions, and so to hear you say those things, that might perk their ears up. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh, so saying certain scriptures sometimes, finding different affirmations, just speaking honestly, it might just have to come out plain and raw, just how you feel it. I know when I used to start out and like writing petitions or doing things like that, I wanted it to be so perfect. And the thing that dawned on me is like you're saying it, that's real. Like however you say it, if you even, I don't know, if you misspell the word, the universe knows your heart. They know what you mean. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So even if you don't have the exact words, just like, I just want to have a good day tomorrow. Some people literally have to start there. Like if they've been having a hard time, I really just want to have a good day tomorrow. And just start there and say that. Putting that on a sticky note on your mirror. So I'm big on telling people, like, because I've started from nothing, Phoenix. I didn't know you know what I mean? Like it was like I literally just had me, and I was just kind of like, I know what I want. And we are manifestors. We have all of that power within us. We literally have all the tools that we need already. We have a mouth, our tongue. There's power in the tongue. So sometimes just, man, I just want to have a good day, or I pray to God that who XYZ doesn't bother me. Like it could be like crazy, you know what I mean? But it's just kind of like you being vocal and actually opening up your throat chakra. Oh, we didn't talk about blue crystals, but opening up your throat chakra will help you to kind of say those affirmations or say exactly what you need to say, and spirit is going to hear it. Like I know having a son, he's first learning to talk. You think everybody else understood what he was saying? I did. I knew exactly what he was saying, and it didn't matter because I'm the one that was going to give him the crackers. I was going to give him what he was needing, even though if he asked somebody else, they're going to be like, "What?" That's kind of what it's like talking to spirit. Like I could tell you all of the beautiful affirmations, but sometimes it's going to be the scream. that tells the universe exactly what you need, that and that like brings it to you. So it's going to be raw, you know what I'm saying, and it might not be pretty, but your feelings behind it, the word, your specific word choice is most important there.
Yes, very powerful. I agree. Um, with my personal manifestations, I do a lot of manifesting work. I used to. I have found that, when I just say what I need the way that I see it, it's when I get it the way that I need it
Ex-
instead of trying it someone else.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like you're gonna do it just how you need to do it. You're gonna say it exactly how you need to say it, and don't try to copy everybody else and what they're doing. You know, a lot of people do a lot of comparing, but you got to put your blinders on sometimes and just be like, I don't know, I need this and I need it just like this. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because it's your journey, not anyone else's.
Mhm.
I do have some tips on the visualization practices that ties in with the shielding. Um, if you're not a big fan of white light, some
Mhm.
people imagine it as a fog that surrounds them, being
Oh,
enveloped by a fog. But I like to think of it as blowing bubbles. Okay. You
oh,
blow bubbles, they're all different colors, right?
yeah.
And if you imagine blowing a big bubble around you that's impenetrable, you're activating all those chakra colors and
Hmm.
you're reflecting everything back to where it came from because bubbles are reflective
Hmm.
and it changes shape as you need it to change shape. And it's really easy for especially kids to imagine blowing bubbles and it
Hmm.
just blow a bubble around yourself. Um, that's one method that I like for the visualization practice. I've also invoked the protection of Archangel Michael, if you're into angels,
Hmm.
um, and just ask him to surround you with his flaming violet shield of protection. That's what I say. Some people say he is a blue color. Some people say he's a violet color, which is like a dark purple. Whatever you see it as, just ask for that shield to surround you and imagine it and feel it coming down and surrounding you. Um, and there are just so many different ways you can do visualization, white light protection. It doesn't have to be a white light, but it can be. But there's just so many different ways. So find what works for you, find the method that works for you. And if that involves something external or not, it's up to you.
Hmm. Yeah. One other thing, I'm really like an auditory person. So I would listen. It started out as like, simple ocean waves. And that would kind of help me like to kind of get started. I would say get started. I always say like travel. But when it comes to like the mental work and the psychic work, the ocean waves kind of help me get to where I keep saying get to where I was going. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say that? Like
Like astral projection.
yes, like
Okay.
astral projection, but I can like the sky, you can go anywhere in your head. Like you can do really the sky is the limit. So starting out, I would do like ocean waves, and then I really got into the solfeggio frequencies. I used to listen to they have on YouTube, you can Google the Earth's frequency, and it's actually very peaceful. It's a very low tone, a low vibrating tone. But that was if you're not, wanting to go outside, you can do that. That's still grounding work. Do you know what I mean? Inside. But doing that and imagining myself on these like crystal mountains, like things like that. But yeah, I didn't I never heard about the fog, and I think the bubble, that's a really good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, fog is interesting because you think about it, it's basically a white light,
It
right?
is. You're right.
And it can kind of obscure you from people that might not have the best intentions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of things, it's endless, really. That's interesting. The sounds too. How would you say sounds could like form a protective shield? Because I know it can.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about like the how, because I don't personally use sound for that. So what
I
do you
do.
think?
I do it. I put on sounds at night before I go to sleep. And sometimes I'll keep them on throughout the day in the house. But it's just kind of just like you said, it's like the waves form a bubble, and I'm it feels good right now. So I'm having my windows open, the back door, and just having a breeze, and you can hear the birds chirping, and then you have your frequencies playing in the back. Nothing can, it really sometimes feels like it's impenetrable, like nothing can like touch that level of peace in your home. And I do that when I'm doing readings also. Like I'll have a speaker kind of low with the sounds playing and be available on Mystic Sense. So do you think, I don't know, a negative energy is going to be attracted to like birds chirping and oh, you know what I mean? They're probably going to be like, but it's inviting, on the other hand, you're inviting that positive energy into your space, or those elevated ancestors and the spirit guides, any type of positive energy, you're inviting that into your space, sometimes to help you, to attract other things. And I like to think about certain things as like actual the spirit of money. Do you know what I'm saying? We have money, but I'm like, money is still a spirit. And is money gonna want to hang out with me if I have this going on? Or um like I want money to want to be around me. I want love to want to be around me. These are like, I imagine them being actual entities and spirits that you can call on and work with, which is true. Like if you're trying to attract abundance, it's almost like peacocking spiritually. Like, like I'm gonna put on my music, I'm gonna put some flowers out for you, and I want it to smell good. So I'm gonna burn some incense and I'm gonna set the mood and come on, like you know what I mean? But yeah. It works for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a good point that you made, that when we are, focusing on these positive things that we're creating, we're inviting, there isn't room for the negativity to enter.
Exactly.
There's just no extra room for it. And that in itself is very protective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Let's move on to our last question tonight. Could you share some insights on the benefits of surrounding oneself with white light in daily life?
Ooh. Yeah. You don't want to have a snowball effect. That can happen, I guess, if you're not keeping up with daily practices. um, the things that were minor can pick up and have this like domino effect, and next thing you know, it's like you have the 10 of wands on your back, like all of you thought it was just one wand, and then it was 10 all of a sudden. So if you're having like these daily practices and your daily rituals of what you're doing, and like I was saying, it doesn't have to be like super extravagant, but if you wake up every morning and you want to write for a few minutes, or you have a song or mantra, some type of meditation, 15-minute meditation that you listen to set the tone, which is important. One thing my ancestors, actually the guy in the picture, his name was Silas. He talks in riddles all the time, but he's always like, everything has to have a beginning and an end. And that really helped me to kind of be able to close the book every day and be like, this is a fresh start tomorrow. The things that didn't get done today, I will work on tomorrow. But also at the beginning and the end, that goes for everything, for readings, for cleanses, if you're doing any type of root work on anything for yourself. You want to greet and open the door and be able to close that door. But I started applying that to my daily life. Like when I'm waking up in the morning, what are my rituals? And they're going to be different. Like I wanted to drink something warm, like warm water and lime or something like that. That water and that cleansing your organs. And we can even get into like the organs. There are certain deities and orishas that are connected to certain organs and like certain emotions. Also, they say the liver is like linked to sometimes the anger and things like that. So when it came to things that I was eating or what I was doing in the morning, that was important. So that was one of my rituals. It's kind of like thinking about my consumption. But yeah, so I would have the beginning where, okay, I'm going to do this, I'll do that. I'll do some stretching, I'll light a candle, a tea light candle or something. And at the end of the day, I can write about it. Or but just having those type of like daily things and daily rituals kind of helped me to keep the stress down. And instead of like trying to push a pile across, I just have to do like one at a time, and it's not this big thing now because I've been working on it. Like this, that's literally what doing the work is. And when you kind of procrastinate or put it to the side, you really can't sweep shadow work under the rug. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's always going to be right there waiting for you. So doing those daily practices, incorporating that self-love, all of that, it's just going to help to keep you at a normal, like normal, but you know, at a healthy level for you, which is important. That's how you maintain that energy so you can keep attracting the things that are there to help you and pour into yourself. And you're also less likely to feed into the negativity. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of good points here. Doing it daily means you don't have to do the hard work later on, pretty much,
Hmm.
is what I'm gathering from that at least.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, so yeah, so I hope that you've all learned something about psychic protection here with Cookie, our Mystic Sense psychic. This is wrapping up our episode tonight. So thank you so much for being here, Cookie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Phoenix. This was cool. I liked it.
Do you have anything you'd like to share with our viewers before we wrap up?
One thing that I will say, I like to put, you know, cute little quotes on my page at the top where we can change them. And one thing that's really been sticking out to me is faith without work is it's dead pretty much. So I know a lot of people they want things, but when it comes to actually taking that action and doing it, there can be some type of lack there. So that's my phrase for today. Faith without work is dead, and we'll leave it. So I'm rooting for everybody to be the best version of themselves and really pour into yourself, because once you start really taking care of yourself, everything else just seems to start falling into place and working out. You know, and things like this, like having an interview and being able to talk about it. And having a safe space to discuss things. But yeah, I'm happy. Thank you for doing this, Phoenix.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure having you here, Cookie, for our Mystic Sense series on psychic protection. So thank you for all the insights. Um, that's going to wrap it up today. So thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this series. Make sure to follow us on our pages wherever you're seeing this at. And I hope to see you all next week for another new topic. Bye.
Bye.